Long before Dolly Parton became a global superstar, before the rhinestones, the wigs, the millions of records and the unforgettable songs, there was a little girl growing up in the mountains of Tennessee. And behind that little girl was a family that was anything but ordinary. Dolly wasn't raised in luxury. She was raised in a small mountain home, surrounded by 11 siblings, hardworking parents, faith, music and very little money. Yet somehow, that crowded little household produced one of the biggest entertainers the world has ever known. So who were the people behind Dolly Parton's extraordinary journey? Meet the parents and siblings who helped shape the legend. Her father. Dolly's father was Robert Lee Parton Sr., affectionately known as Lee. He was a hard-working man who grew up in the mountains of East Tennessee. Life wasn't easy. Robert worked various jobs to support his enormous family, including farming and construction work. He didn't have much formal education, but he had something Dolly admired deeply: a powerful work ethic. Robert was known as a practical, hard-working man who understood what it meant to provide for a family when money was scarce. And Dolly never forgot the sacrifices he made. In fact, one of the most touching parts of Dolly's later philanthropy was connected directly to her father. Robert couldn't read or write. Dolly saw firsthand how that limitation affected his life, and years later, she used her extraordinary success to help children gain access to books through the Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. Think about that. Her father couldn't read. His daughter went on to become one of the world's most famous songwriters. And then she helped put books into the hands of millions of children. That isn't just success. That's turning a family struggle into a global legacy. Robert died in 2000, but his influence remained deeply woven into Dolly's life. Her mother. If Dolly's father represented hard work, her mother, Avie Lee Parton, brought something equally important into the household: music, storytelling and creativity. Avie Lee was born in 1923 and married Robert Lee Parton Sr. when she was still young. Together, they raised 12 children in the Great Smoky Mountains. Imagine that household: 12 children, one small home, limited money, and yet somehow, there was always room for music. Avie Lee was known for singing and telling stories, and she passed that love of music to her children. For Dolly, her mother's influence was enormous. The songs Dolly heard at home became part of the musical vocabulary she would eventually take to the world. Avie Lee also had a creative spirit and encouraged her children's imagination. And Dolly didn't simply inherit her mother's love of music. She inherited something else: the ability to make ordinary life feel magical. Avie Lee died in 2003, but Dolly has continued to speak lovingly about her mother and the influence she had on her life. A family of 12 children. Now comes the part that makes Dolly's childhood truly remarkable. Dolly was one of 12 children. She was the fourth child born to Robert and Avie Lee. Her siblings were Willadeene, David, Wilburn, Coy Denver, Robert, Bobby, Jr., Stella, Cassie, Dolly, Larry, Randy, Floyd, Freida, Rachel. Growing up in such a large family meant that Dolly learned early how to share, compromise, entertain herself and, perhaps most importantly, make herself heard. Because when you're one of 12 children, being quiet doesn't exactly guarantee attention. But the Parton children weren't simply siblings. Many of them shared Dolly's love of music. And several eventually became involved in the entertainment industry. Willadeene Parton. Willadeene Parton was Dolly's older sister and one of the family's storytellers. She became an author and wrote about the Parton family and their Appalachian upbringing. Her work helped preserve stories about the family's early years. And that matters because the Parton family's humble beginnings became an important part of Dolly's identity. Willadeene helped keep those memories alive. David Wilburn Parton. Dolly's brother David Wilburn Parton largely stayed away from the entertainment spotlight. Unlike Dolly, he did not pursue a major public career. But he remained part of the family story and shared the same upbringing that shaped Dolly's personality. Sometimes the people who don't stand beneath the spotlight are just as important to the person standing underneath it. Coy Denver Parton. Another brother, Coy Denver Parton, also lived a relatively private life. Like several of Dolly's siblings, he did not pursue the same level of fame that his sister achieved. But he belonged to the family environment that helped shape Dolly during her formative years. Robert, Bobby, Parton Jr. Dolly's brother Robert, Bobby, Parton Jr. also remained mostly outside the celebrity spotlight. And this is something fascinating about Dolly's family. One sister became a global icon, but most of her siblings chose much quieter lives. Dolly became the world's Dolly Parton. They remained members of the Parton family. Stella Parton, another sister with a musical voice. Then there's Stella Parton. Stella followed her older sister into country music. She became a singer-songwriter in her own right and released numerous recordings. But being Dolly Parton's sister came with an obvious challenge. Imagine trying to build your own career when your sister is already one of the biggest names in country music. Yet Stella carved out her own identity. She became known for songs including "I Want to Hold You in My Dreams Tonight," and built a career independent of Dolly's enormous shadow. The sisters also collaborated professionally. Their relationship shows something fascinating about the Parton family. Music wasn't simply Dolly's escape from poverty, it was a family language. Cassie Parton. Cassie Parton, another of Dolly's sisters, also has a musical background. She performed with Dolly and other family members and appeared alongside her siblings in musical performances. Cassie has generally maintained a much lower public profile than Dolly, but her voice became part of the family's musical tradition. And occasionally, Dolly's concerts became family reunions disguised as entertainment. Larry Parton. A tragic loss. Not every Parton sibling story has a happy ending. Dolly's younger brother Larry Parton died only a few days after his birth in 1955. Dolly was still a child. The loss deeply affected the family. It was one of the early tragedies Dolly experienced, and the pain of losing loved ones would become a recurring part of her life. Dolly has often spoken about family, loss and faith through her music. Sometimes the most emotional songs come from places where words simply aren't enough. Randy Parton. A brother who followed the music. Randy Parton was another sibling who pursued music. He was a singer and songwriter and performed professionally. Randy also worked with Dolly, including appearances connected to Dollywood. Their relationship showed just how deeply music ran through the Parton household. He wasn't simply Dolly's brother. He was a fellow musician. Sadly, Randy died in 2021 after battling cancer. Dolly paid tribute to her brother publicly, remembering him with affection and celebrating the music they shared. Floyd Parton. The songwriter in the family. Dolly's brother Floyd Parton was particularly interesting because he shared one of Dolly's greatest gifts: songwriting. Floyd co-wrote songs with Dolly, including "Rockin' Years," which Dolly recorded with Ricky Van Shelton. He also contributed to other projects involving his famous sister. Floyd wasn't simply a sibling watching Dolly become famous. He was part of the creative process. Sadly, Floyd died in 2018. His passing was another painful loss for Dolly and the Parton family. Freida Parton. Dolly's sister Freida Parton also had musical ambitions. She reportedly performed in punk rock bands and worked in music and entertainment in different ways. Unlike Dolly, however, Freida did not become a major mainstream celebrity. Still, her artistic personality reflected something that seemed almost built into the Parton family DNA. Creativity. Rachel Parton. Rachel Parton, Dolly's youngest sister, also entered the entertainment world. She became known for acting and singing and appeared in the television series 9 to 5, based on Dolly's hit movie. Rachel later became a mother and generally maintained a more private life. Yet she, too, carried a piece of the family's artistic legacy. The family that shaped Dolly. When you look at Dolly Parton's story, it's easy to focus on the superstar. The rhinestones, the big hair, the unmistakable voice, the millions of records, the movies, the theme park, the philanthropy. But behind all of that was a little girl who learned her first lessons about life inside a crowded Tennessee home. Her father taught her the value of hard work. Her mother gave her music and imagination. Her siblings taught her about sharing, competition, loyalty and family. And those lessons followed Dolly all the way to the top. She may have left that little mountain home, but she never truly left her family behind. In fact, she carried them with her. Their stories appeared in her songs. Their voices appeared in her performances. Their struggles influenced her philanthropy. And their memories became part of the Dolly Parton story. The sweetest part of Dolly's family story. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about Dolly Parton's childhood is that wealth was never what made her family rich. They had very little money. But they had stories. They had music. They had faith. They had each other. And from that environment came a girl who would eventually give the world some of its most beloved songs. Dolly once came from a family of 12 children trying to make the best of very little. She eventually became a woman capable of giving millions of children something her own family could not always afford. Opportunity. That's why Dolly's family story isn't just about where she came from. It's about why she became the woman she is. The little girl from the Smoky Mountains didn't forget the people who helped her dream. She simply took their love, their lessons and their music, and carried them all the way to the world stage. Because behind every legend is a story, and behind Dolly Parton, there was an unforgettable family.